It's time.
Is it?
Except one of us is missing.
Perhaps we should just wait.
But I won't say who. You have to guess who's not here.
It's that kind of show today.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't tell. Pastor Chris isn't able to be here this morning. So he's got a pretty crazy week. So he's asked us to step in. We'll never fill those shoes.
That's right. That's right.
It's the empty seat.
That's right. Yes, we leave a chair.
Honor
Chris.
But we march forward. Easter's approaching. I think this Sunday,
Yes.
if I'm doing my math correct, will be Palm Sunday. So that's pretty exciting. That means
my word!
Holy,
Really?
yeah.
Wait. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
This Sunday.
It's
that's
always
right. Yeah.
We're always ahead, Bryan.
Yes, we are. I'm not used to revlog time zone.
Yeah, true.
But-
yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are, Job chapter 9, and I'm not sure with the logic
Not
here.
the whole chapter.
Not
we're
the whole
not
chapter,
looking at the whole chapter.
but you really need to.
it would be a help,
It would be a
wouldn't it?
help. I think if you're going to read Job 9, 32 through 35, you really need a little bit more context.
So how does this strike you? I mean, what do you?
Hold up your bookmark, Bryan. What is it that
How does Job? How does Job 9:32 through 35 strike you?
Well,
because it really is in the middle of a.
That's the thing is I had to go back to verse 1 and you recognize it's Job that's talking, and he says, how can I combat or talk or defend myself against God? And I think that is really critical to how the rest of that chapter plays out, because he's saying, we're not on equal ground. And
Yes.
I cannot come at God like I would come at Bryan.
Right, that's right. That's right.
Because you're probably back then. Were you that fourth friend, the one that didn't speak?
I'm always trying to keep my head down.
Okay, right. So, but Job is saying, listen, if I've got a complaint, I can't lay into him like I would, somebody else. And so he's trying to just say, I am not equal to God. I think that's the big takeaway here from Job.
Remember the comic strip The Far Side?
Oh,
Gary Larson.
Do I?
Yeah. Hilarious and brilliant. And he one time there was one of those comic strips from him, and it depicted a game show scenario, and it was some man named Bob, and his opponent was God.
Okay,
and the host was saying, "Ooh, Bob, that was the wrong answer. So far, we've got God 10 billion, Bob 0." And so the decks are stacked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean, Gary Larson again.
Exactly. He sums it up. I think he read this chapter
for the win.
Because Job is kind of in this situation. He says, I feel like I've been ill-served here, and yet I really can't mount a credible complaint, or I can't argue my case because he's too smart. And this again is in response to his friends that are kind of rebutting him and giving him some pushback about his mindset and how he's approaching his trials but Job's trying to frame this in that, listen, if I have a grievance, I can't go to the judge and tell him that you're wrong, because the judge in God in this case is not. Yeah.
And Job has a pretty healthy
God's
understanding.
not a peer.
That's exactly right. God is not a peer. Now, can we say in the same frame though that our lament and our airing of grievances towards the Lord there's a fine line here of saying, Lord, hear my cry, hear my complaint, and letting those things out and coming to God as a peer and saying, you should do something about this. That there is some distinction here that Job is making.
Okay, yeah. So what you're saying then is he he is not. Okay, say that again.
Yeah. So when we lament, and because we were encouraging people to do that in this season of Lent and in our study of Job,
right.
that we bring everything to the Lord, and we're not saying don't do that, but what we're saying here with Job is that recognizing in all of our airing of grief or airing of our why is this happening to me, that we're not saying to God, talking peer to peer, as you would say.
Right. Okay, I didn't know if you were saying that or if you were saying something else, but because this is fraught. This whole notion of going to God with displeasure is fraught, at least for me, because I still have this notion that I have to couch it in terms of, but I recognize that you're perfect and I'm not. And because really underneath all of that is my fear that I am going to be crushed for daring to say that I'm not pleased with something. And this is, I think, what Job is disabusing us of, or the book of Job is attempting to disabuse us of, this notion that we have to take everything in silence. We can't come to God complaining.
Yeah. I think we don't lament well. And so we're having to...
You said that well, actually.
I think that this is a real struggle that you've uncovered here, is that we're trying to figure out what role do we play in this grief in talking to God. And it's because of this cloud that we've put over the idea of lament or the idea of grief. And it's almost got in the way of this communication. I think we said this a week or so ago, that in all of the lament psalms, you never get this idea that God says, oh yeah, here I go, I'm going to bash those heads in like you asked me to do.
Right.
What he's allowed us to do is just get off our chest those things that we're struggling with, but at no time does he go, I'm going to take your advice, or I'm going to do what you've asked simply because you've asked it. It's if we have an audience to complain, it's with the understanding that because he loves us, he's allowing us to air that.
That's correct. And by that logic, he is not saying, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do, and you're going to take it and like it.
And which is kind of the other side of the same coin, in that we are not some... thanks be to God that he doesn't dole it out like that.
Right.
That we're just some pawn in his cosmic play. That he does love us and care about us, and he wants us to have that open communication regardless of the circumstance.
And so, do I bear guilt in complaining to God? Does that am I adding to my guilt, whatever it may be, by complaining to God? And that's really how. I guess that's a question that is constantly on my mind.
And maybe it's my inability to articulate this well, is what you just said. Do I bear guilt? Because why is sharing feelings hard?
Yeah.
In American society.
Well, it is with anybody, isn't it?
Right.
Now that you mention it, I mean, it is hard for us to talk honestly about our feelings without saying, now I know that blah, blah, blah. We have to set it up some way. We just can't come raw with these feelings, or we're afraid how we'll be perceived.
And how do we do that without a platitude as well? Just saying, true. I know that God is sovereign. I know that all these things are going to work out.
Right.
But truly, we need to say, here's what I'm experiencing, and it's not that it's shaking my faith, but it's just right now I just feel as empty as I possibly can. And what you said, Job is clearing the way for an honest conversation without selling the farm, without
right. And I think there is room also for faith to be shaken here. Some people's faith is going to be shaken, and I even whether it is or is not, you're going to have complaints.
Yeah,
and Job seems to be forcing us to face that.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And I hope we haven't muddied the waters too much in that, because again, Job is saying from the outset here, it's not like I'm talking brother to brother.
Right.
And I want to get that clear, that I have something to say, but as you, my friends, are hearing me say this, that I need to recognize that where I am and where he is in this conversation, and that must be clearly understood.
Yeah, yeah. And Job is going to take 40, however many, chapter 42, I can't remember, but to help us to understand that.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
I think one of the reasons it's so lengthy is for that very reason,
right.
that it's hard for us to get that through our heads. We don't talk about this well, and we certainly don't talk to God well about how we're feeling, because we might be afraid we're crossing some line somewhere.
Right.
That we find out we've drawn.
Yeah.
I think.
Agreed.
And so I have a question that arises from
You've asked 3 already, but go ahead. Yeah.
One more question, Aaron. One more. Let me have one more. What is my voice with God? Mm-hmm. What is my voice? If I have a voice, what is that voice? Is it, how far can I go with my voice with God? I mean, that's my question.
Well, and I think that in these few verses that we get here, that in the setup, I think that is a really healthy way to look at it, and to honestly ask ourselves that, and then ask the Lord, how shall I approach you? How would you like me to come at you with these kinds of things? Is Job an example that I need to follow?
That's a great question.
Is Christ an example that I should follow to say, I am weary to the point of death, and I
don't want to do this.
Take
this away from me.
And
but I'll do it if you want.
That's right. Yeah. Amen. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and if you've got more clarity in this, Bryan would love to hear that.
Have we muddied the waters? Have we?
I'm sure. I mean, Chris would have just parsed through all of this and got us. So pray that Chris is back with us next week.
Really.
God bless.
Thanks, Joel.